It's V-Week on ESPN as we continue Jim Valvano's fight against cancer.
Arena in Lexington, Kentucky. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. And the fifth-ranked Kentucky Wildcats, fresh off a double overtime win against Gonzaga, take to their home floor to take on the Colgate Raiders out of the Patriot League. Welcome courtside, everybody. Tom Hart alongside Dane Bradshaw. What a start for Mark Pope and this Kentucky team. 2-0 against top 10 opponents. But Dane, last week, their first real taste of adversity. They got 2 point guards out for the foreseeable future. And so Jackson Robinson had to pick up the slack.
Yeah, he proved he could step up in the biggest moment for Kentucky. As the emergency point guard option, he was near flawless in that second half. And at least for tonight, they're going to need him to do it again in that point guard role. And here's the main message for Coach Pope to Robinson: push the tempo, and for good reason. They are scoring nearly 93 points per game. It's a thing of beauty when they share the ball, almost 20 assists per game, and back to tempo. He wants to keep those fast break points up and get Colgate going up and down the court. That's the message to his third-string point guard, Jackson Robinson.
Lamont Butler started the first 8 games at point guard. He is out tonight. He could be back for Louisville this weekend. Kirk Kriisa is out with a Jones fracture. He is out indefinitely, but it'll likely be at least a few weeks before Kriisa is able to get back on the floor. Showed you the numbers. Kentucky scoring nearly 93 points a game. Here's Andrew Carr, and now Robinson. Otsega Owe takes a baseline drive, and Colgate doubles them for a minute. Shot clock at 4. Carr trying to find some space. Tough angle, but an offensive rebound and a putback by Amari Williams. Kentucky statistically has a huge advantage on the glass coming into this game. Colgate comes in at 2-8. They have been to the last 5 NCAA tournaments, and they are once again picked to win the Patriot League, but they're without a key player, Jeff Woodward, their 6'11", fifth-year senior. He was on the practice floor today for the first time since he injured his foot earlier this year against North Carolina State.
Here's that tempo. They want to push this, get right into their offense. They run a lot of their offense right here out of their 5-man Williams with some of these dribble handoffs.
And look at that feed from Robinson to Williams. Amari Williams has no buckets for the Cats so far.
And it works so well when you have a shooter clearing out to the corner. The defense cannot stay in that help position and afford to leave a shooter in the corner and leading to the open lob.
Colgate averaging only 67 points a game. They've had a hard time getting it through the hoop. They're coming off of a loss Sunday at Northeastern. They're out-rebounded by 16 in that game, and even though they had 5 in double figures, they only shot 44% from the floor. Here's Brea, 3-point specialist, has it rim out. Another offensive rebound for the Cats, but they can't cash in.
Yeah, he misses that, but that's exactly what Coach Pope wants to see more of from Brea. Be a 2-foot finisher in the paint, not just a 3-point shooter.
Jalen Cox couldn't hit the pull-up jumper. Cats coming the other way. 3 misses for Kentucky and 2 offensive rebounds. Owe tees it up. Left it short, and Jalen Cox finds the rebound. Colgate has 2 wins all-time against AP-ranked teams. Most recent one came in 1952. Their first ever was in 49 against Bob Cousy and Holy Cross. It's 2 all-time. Here's Owe. Cut off, and in the paint draws a foul, and will go to the line. What a start for Mark Pope, leadoff drop in Kentucky history, the only 2 to start 2-0 against top 10 opponents. That foul was on Nicholas Louis-Jacques, gets his first.
And Tom, what a job Mark Pope did with that comeback victory against Gonzaga. It's early in this season, Kentucky fans have been thrilled to see some of the adjustments he's been able to make in game. This is a high IQ team. Maybe not the most talented team in the SEC, maybe not even a top 10 talented team in the country, but they're ranked number 5 for a reason, because they're winners, they're smart, they play together, and they can make adjustments in game, as Coach Pope has already proven multiple times this season.
It's a 5-0 lead for the Cats thus far. Colgate 0 for 4 to start this game. Nicholas Louis-Jacques, number 5, is their leading scorer. He's given them 11 a game. He had 14 in the loss to Northeastern. Got Williams turned around, got stuck under the rim, and coughs it up directly to Jackson Robinson. What makes Jackson Robinson a good point guard for a guy who hadn't played a whole lot of it?
Well, he's actually pretty strong with the ball. He's thin, but he bounces off contact really well, and it doesn't affect him too often. And there you see what's becoming one of their go-to plays is get the ball to Andrew Carr in a favorable spot down low. And he's such a smart player, can read the defense. And the more effective Andrew Carr continues to be in those one-on-one situations, the more teams are going to have to consider doing a double team. And guess what? Now you got shooters lined up everywhere, and that's when Kentucky really can start hoisting up the threes.
Carr coming off of a Kentucky high 19 points his last time out against Gonzaga. He's part of the interesting statistical oddity, I suppose, with this Kentucky team. They've got a lot of experience, but none of it in this uniform. They return basically nobody, and Carr making his 122nd career start tonight.
And we had a good conversation with him, Tom, and he talked about how he's being used here at Kentucky, maybe a little bit different than at Wake Forest. And yes, we've seen him post up, but Coach Pope has him running off staggered screens as if he's a wing, and so just a lot of kind of planned action and guard-oriented options for the big man. Very versatile.
A sloppy start for Colgate, 0 for 5 from the floor and a couple of turnovers. And Langle, their head coach, knew it would be a challenge for them coming in here. They have played a couple of power conference opponents. They got blown out at NC State, but they nearly won at Syracuse, just down the road from their campus, lost by 2. Carr into the corner for Brea, one of the nation's best from deep, and he drills his first 3 of the night.
That's about as pretty of a stroke as you'll see in the entire country.
4th in the nation at 55% from deep. Brady Cummins throws one up. Colgate still hasn't made a bucket, and Brandon Garrison, who played inspired in a battle in Seattle, comes up with the board, and then Carr with the flush. Colgate's going to have to use a timeout. They can't wait for their media timeout. Andrew Carr had a great game against Gonzaga, and he's got 4 here early on. When we return, break down what makes number 7 so special. Kentucky with a skunk so far, 12-0 over Colgate. Let's break down how this offense runs through Andrew Carr.
Yeah, the key to that second half comeback was quality paint touches for Andrew Carr, and they did it with little on big screens. When you use a shooter to set a screen for a big, it puts the defense in a bind because they don't want to help off that shooter. So here's Owe setting a screen for Williams, and then he's going to set another one for Carr. And what that does is it causes the big to have to fight over, and by the time he's there, Carr already has favorable position. On the other hand, if the defender stays to help out on the big, guess what? The guard's slipping out for an open 3, and they win at that time and time again. Coach Pope, I don't think, likes to play call a lot, but man, in that second half, he play called his butt off, and a lot of it was 7 and white.
They were down 16 at the half, down 18 in the second half, tied a school record at 16-point comeback at the half. You say little big, it's as simple as little guy screening for big guy.
Yeah, but it needs to be a threat, like a shooter, a scorer, somebody that the defender doesn't want to become detached from. Because if he becomes detached, now Owe slips out, gets some threes. And really, when Kentucky sees that film, they say, you know what, I'm hoping teams start coming off and helping off on Carr. We can start getting more three-point attempts up.
Good problem to have. Here's Jones for 3, in and out. Colgate can't buy a bucket, but they get a bailout on a foul underneath charge to Brandon Garrison.
This is a Colgate team that is used to winning. And 5 straight NCAA tournament appearances. This is a team that you're accustomed to seeing in your bracket as a 14 seed.
They have dominated their Patriot League opponents, and we'll get an early insert of Travis Perry. Freshman from Eddyville, Kentucky, out of Lyon County High School. Travis will be running backup point guard today. Talked to him about it before the game. He said, I didn't play a ton of point in high school. It was easier for me to be off ball, but we shared a lot of those duties, and he's more than comfortable running it for the Cats tonight. Shot clock's at 6. Now under 5. Cox puts it on the floor. Knocked out of bounds by Colgate. So an empty possession. If you're Travis Perry, all-time leading scorer in Kentucky prep history, over 5,300 points, what are your responsibilities strictly as a point guard?
Take care of the ball and initiate the offense. Anytime somebody tries to go from a 2 to a point, the toughest thing for them to do is make that first pass. What takes the pressure off of that, though, is Kentucky runs so much with their 5, it makes for a simple entry pass.
Carr with the lead and one. Good body control. Carr's got a half dozen, and he's going to the free throw line.
Love the aggressiveness, just no hesitation. One dribble, got to his spot. Look at him catch this ball and just rip. Gets there, takes on the contact, finishes through.
You mentioned he played for one of your former assistants at Tennessee at Wake Forest, Steve Forbes. What is his role in this offense relative to what it was at Wake?
Yeah, when we talked to Andrew about that, he had great success under Coach Forbes and Coach Shea, and they would put him in ISO situations, a lot of freedom, and this at times is a little bit more scripted setups that he has to take advantage of. So just different systems, and when you're a winner and a player like Carr, you're going to thrive no matter what.
Big down by Perry. Cox ends up with it. Off the screen from Cameron Brennan. Cox off balance over Garrison up the side of the backboard. Looking for a foul. Inauspicious debut for Matt Langle's team. They are 0 for 9 from the floor, 0 for 4 from 3. He is the winningest coach in program history. He is a 5-time Patriot League Coach of the Year over the last 7 seasons. 5 years was an assistant to Fran Dunphy at Temple. Played for Fran in college.
When you think about what they've had to replace, Braden Smith transfers to Gonzaga. Ryan Moffitt was a 5-year guy, big-time player. Keegan Records, one of the top big men in program history. And of course, dealing with the injury to Woodward as well.
That is a lot to replace. A rip away by Owe. Carr will take it across midcourt. Garrison gets a paint touch and an out. Open floor, Cox. Still nothing. 0 for 10.
And Cox is the one guy I think that can really create his own. He's athletic enough to have a big game in this one. He had over 20 in their matchup against Syracuse, 3 in red. So see if he can get going.
Carr on the glass. Third offensive rebound tonight for the Cats. See what they get on this second chance possession. Mid-range short. Cats only 6 for 14. And Colgate finally gets its first shot to go.
Boy, did they need it. You got to get that lid off the rim. When you got some nerves, you're playing in an arena like Rupp, to have that cold of a start, tough.
Here's Perry. No look into the corner for Owe. Mentioned that the Cats are without Lamont Butler due to an injury. May see him this weekend against Louisville. And that's starting 5. Here's Perry from the corner. And starting 5 for Kentucky: Butler, Owe, Robinson, Carr, and Williams is statistically, according to Evan Maya, the 10th best lineup in all of college basketball. That is a highly efficient lineup, as you can tell, based simply on the points that Kentucky puts up, nearly 93 a game. Garrison running the floor, fouled by Cameron Brennan.
And they can survive a game or two without Butler, but he's the head of the snake, no question, defensively. One of the top defenders in the country. And they just are always better when he's on the court. Lamont Butler. But I tell you, other guys that have stepped up, we talked about the point guard play of Robinson, but I love the play of the big man Garrison. He's the baby of the team right here, the sophomore. And I can't wait to see where he is from December till March, because he has a high ceiling. A big-time defender, runs the court well, active, and even knocked down a 3 last game to show some versatility there.
He's the only McDonald's All-America on this roster. You haven't been able to say that very often. You have to go back to the 08-09 season, the last time Kentucky only had one Burger Boy on their team.
And that goes back to what Coach Pope prioritizes, is the right kind of guys that will play together and collect winners. And that's what he's assembled here in year 1. regardless of the high school rankings or anything else. He's got winners and guys that love to play with one another.
Nancy Almanor on the floor for the first time for the Cats in 15 and white. There's Kyle Carlesimo, whose dad PJ, longtime NBA and college coach, and very nearly the coach of the Cats after Eddie Sutton left. Kyle's been playing a little banged up and bandaged up, got a cut on his shooting hand. Got that one away but couldn't knock it down. An open floor foul. It is an emotional trip for this Colgate program and its first ever game with Kentucky. We'll dive into that story and how a Kentucky native played in scheduling this game. It's V Week at ESPN. We partner with the V Foundation to highlight the urgent need for cancer research. It's game-changing research that helps save lives. You can join the fight against cancer by visiting v.org/donate. 100% of your donation goes directly to cancer research. It is a heartwarming trip for this Colgate basketball program and head coach Matt Langle. You see, their faculty rep and longtime Colgate chemistry professor Ephraim Woods III is from Ashland, Kentucky. In fact, he was a valedictorian of his class in Russell High School in 1989. Passed away on February 13th after a battle with brain cancer. And he always, as a Kentucky fan, wanted to see his two favorite teams, Colgate and Kentucky, play head-to-head. So after numerous opportunities to try and get this thing scheduled, Matt Langle finally got it done. And so while Ephraim is not here to enjoy it, certainly his family is, and including his wife Carrie and children Aiden and Lillian, wife of 26 years, made the trip with the Colgate basketball team to come to Rupp Arena and see his two favorite teams play.
What a heartbreaking, touching story. As I watched you talk with his wife Carrie, and with a smile on her face and tears in her eyes, looking around this arena and knowing how much and how sentimental this game is to her and her family. Just what a strong backbone she has been for her and their family, and again, heartbreaking story. He meant so much for that program.
They were high school sweethearts at Ashland High School. And so one of the first things she did when they got inside the arena today, Scott off balance, is go and sit down in the seats that she sat in when she was here as a pharmacy school student. Incredible story. Here's Perry for three. And I think, Dane, it also shows the reach of Big Blue Nation, that meant so much to Ephraim. Colin Chandler on the floor, gets a shot up. The Cats continue their struggles from three, just 27% from deep over the last 4 games after shooting lights out. First 5 games of the year.
Tom, just to add one last thing on that, as Kerry told us, Ephraim said he was not going to give up that position as long as Coach Langle was the coach. He cared that much about Coach Langle and the respect he has for him in this program.
As the faculty rep, there's Kerry for children.
It's number 33, Sam White.
Aiden on the right. Colgate grad and Lillian. That was on Colin Chandler, his first. William Scott getting some run here for Colgate in the first half. And he has gone deep into his bench, and just about everybody in a uniform has seen the floor already for Colgate. Almanor tries to rip it inside. Here's Perry from the corner. Saved by Chandler, nearly a good save. Kentucky scored the first 17 points of the game. Carlesimo, yeah, got it. My, how things would have been different if the Carlesimos would have locked into Lexington. PJ was offered the job by CM Newton, and by some accounts accepted the Kentucky job after Eddie Sutton was forced out. Got back to Seton Hall. That was a year after he led Seton Hall to the national championship game, and had to call Coach Newton up, give the job back, essentially. They ended up hiring Rick Pitino.
What a change of events.
They got a second one. Kyle red hot.
They're in the rhythm now. I mean, after a horrible shooting start, They saw one go in, have slowed Kentucky down. Again, the rotations are different right now for Kentucky. Good hard foul. Because of the injuries at the point guard position, you've got some rotations right now in lineups that don't ordinarily play with one another, and you're seeing that rust from Kentucky and Colgate making them pay right now as they've been able to convert on 3 triples, most of them here in the last few minutes.
This is a Colgate team that started the game 0 for 10, now on an 11-0 run. Mari Williams at the free throw line.
Going back to those lineups, Coach Pope has seen enough. Got the subs coming in.
The Bloods, Kansas and Kentucky will be on the floor for an ESPN doubleheader on Saturday. Jayhawks trying to end a 2-game losing streak. They host NC State at Allen Fieldhouse at 3:15 Eastern. Then the battle for Bluegrass. Wildcats host Louisville and one of college basketball's great rivalries. This place will be rocking Saturday afternoon, huh?
Sure will. Louisville's going to have to start knocking some shots down from deep if they want to keep up with Kentucky, and maybe more importantly, take care of the ball. Because if you have live ball turnovers against Kentucky, the pace will catch up to you.
Jalen Cox off the glass.
I told you, this guy's an athlete, 3 in red, and you see he can get to his spot on his own, and that time Colgate cleared out the entire backside. Kentucky's help defense was nowhere to be found.
Carr drawing some attention. Was 2 different doubles as Cox digs in. Owe back out. Carr back to Owe. Brea over the top of Bellissimo.
Owe turns down an open look, sends it over to Brea and says, I like your contested look better than my open look. Not a bad play.
Brea 2 for 2 from deep. Baker left alone. Got it! They are some kind of hot right now after a horrendous start to this game.
Colgate mixing up some defenses. They've shown several looks at zone despite the 3-point shooters Kentucky has.
Ortega Owe rolls it home. What has Colgate done right on the offensive end after that slow start?
I think they played very fast, and they'll slip a lot of screens and make their ball screen stuff and dribble handoffs and this type of action to where you must communicate. Are you switching? Are you staying? So Kentucky must use their voice and talk their action on this end of the court.
Here's Wright for 3. This is the style that Colgate wants to play. We're talking to Matt Langle, and that's stylistically about what Kentucky's been doing under Mark Pope, and he said that's what we want to be. That's what we want to run when we have the right personnel on the floor. They've dominated the Patriot League. They have gone 66-6 in their league in the last 5 seasons.
And with those 5 straight tournament appearances, I mean, when you're in a 1-bid league, you know how hard it is not to get upset in one of those conference tournaments, yet they just keep making Selection Sunday over and over again. In the past 5-6 minutes, you've seen why.
Robinson probing. Owe to Carr. Carr has to battle. Really good defense by Josh Ayare. Williams dumps it off to Robinson for the and one.
What a pass by the big man Williams. I mean, they pass it into him, not necessarily for him to score, but for him to pass. And you see Robinson, as soon as this post feed goes in, he is going to back cut, and this is a dime for the big man. Woo, that's pretty. And one for Robinson.
Got a little bit of snow in Lexington the last couple of mornings in 5th-ranked Kentucky, leading Colgate 25-16 in the holiday. Hey, Santa, I know him! Wow, what a day. What a season it's been for the SEC. And Dane wanted to talk about the teams that were predicted at the bottom of the league that are more than pulling their own weight.
I mean, look at this. The bottom 5 from the preseason poll are a record of 42-4, and they are legit. Georgia's got a freshman, Asa Newell, a big man out of Destin, Florida, is not going to have any problem getting a deal on a beach house in rental in 30A. And then you saw what Missouri did to Kansas with the court storming and Dennis Gates turning around from last year. LSU is looking the part as well. Their backcourt, Cam Carter, Kansas State transfer. And if you haven't seen the freshman from Oklahoma, Jeremiah Fears, originally committed to Illinois, decommitted, signs with Oklahoma, and he has been putting on a show. And for Vanderbilt, Jason Edwards, North Texas transfer, dropped 30. Big win against TCU the other day.
Three-point play for Jackson Robinson. Drop line on that graphic. Those bottom 5 teams, a combined 42-4 for a league that is 16-8 against the top 25. That's the most wins in the non-conference for any league ever. It could be a historical season for the SEC.
Tom, when you look at a team's schedule, usually in conference play, we'll look at it and be like, hey, you know what? Kentucky's first half of January looks like it's okay. Then it really gets tough there in mid-February. You start looking at the matchups. It is not coach speak anymore. Every single night in the SEC is going to be a packed house with a meaningful game. It'll be the best conference play and most meaningful conference season I've ever seen since covering the league or playing it.
A little jump hook, no good from Cameron Brennan. Cats with a double-digit lead. They jumped out to a 17-0 advantage before Colgate went on an 11-0 run. Brea penetrating. Here's Owe through traffic.
And what Owe did right there is what I'd like to see Brea do on the previous drive. I felt like he got the inside position, got to the paint. Now lower your shoulder, initiate the contact, and finish at the rim.
Everybody's looking for more consistency, no matter what they do. Oh, one looking for the back cut. Turns into a 3 from the corner, and it's drilled by Parker Jones.
Well, they may have started cold, but they never arrived scared in this arena. This Colgate team has come to play. And here's Owe, again, just absorbing that contact, patient in the lane, and then the kick out as Carr loses a defender. A little bit of a late short closeout. Parker Jones, really versatile forward. They use a lot of different ways as a screener, a popper, a shooter, does a lot of things for him.
Here's Brea in the starting lineup for the first time as a Kentucky Wildcat tonight, and he's got 3 threes.
Watch out, I mean, because he's feeling it right now. He always sees a big rim, but he's even hotter than normal right now.
A perfect 3-for-3 start. Jalen Cox, number 3 on the other end.
And that's where you miss Lamont Butler. Jackson Robinson saying, hey, I can handle the point on this end, but you guys get healthy so y'all can guard these quick point guards on the other end, because he was getting blown by.
I thought it was really interesting watching Lamont Butler at shoot-around today. He was a non-participant from a physical standpoint, but he was calling out all of the plays as Kentucky ran through its offense like a coach would.
You can see Coach Pope wants a player-led team. You saw some of the footage at halftime of that Gonzaga game. Allows the players to talk amongst themselves, hold each other accountable. Same way in shoot-around.
Owe off the glass. And he was standing out there at midcourt with the index card with all the plays on it, would call it out for the offense to run. Another 3, good. It's Parker Jones again.
Well, Kentucky's going to have to be there sooner on these closeouts and make Colgate put it on the floor. I mean, too many of these shots that they're making are coming off assists. 9 makes, 6 assists. You got to make Colgate play one-on-one.
6 threes for the Raiders. Cox lost the ball on its way in. And off Brea will be Colgate basketball, but Brea is sizzling tonight.
He led the nation in three-point percentage a year ago at Dayton, and he is picking up where he left off. Ooh, a nasty step back through the legs, and that is pure nylon.
Welcome into the College Basketball Studios. John Crispin, Seth Greenberg.
You did a great job with that.
Thank you. Lots to talk about in the SEC. Dane and Tom talked about the bottom 5 and how good they are. We'll talk about the rest. Kentucky, certainly good, but somebody on Colgate's got your eye.
Yeah, I think there's one. First of all, Kyle Carlissimo, I mean, son of Scratch Golfer, shoots the three. But how do you stay in the game if you're Colgate? You don't turn it over. They've done a good job taking care of the basketball. You knock down some threes, and you take Kentucky out of transition. Great job there. By the way, Tom Hart, did you celebrate Mizzou's win? That's what I want to know. How did you celebrate Mizzou's win?
Say how I celebrated it. Thanks for asking, Seth. I went to G&D. I got a gyro and a baked potato, and then I drove to St. Louis, and I got on the not quite the same meal we had last night at Tony's.
We did have a darn good meal at Tony's. Filet, ribeye, never misses.
By the way, I've been present for the last 2 Missouri wins against a #1 ranked team. Because the previous win came when I was in school, 1997. They beat a Kansas team that was loaded with guys like Rafe LaFrance and Jacques Vaughn and Paul Pierce. Missouri didn't have a single NBA player on their roster.
Did you feel unprofessional when you stormed the court as well?
Well, I always feel a little bit unprofessional. Brady Cummins gets his first bucket. And a turnover. Here's Cox. And it goes, another 3. Louis Jacques with his first, and everybody from Colgate getting in on this one.
And Cox is setting the tempo right now. This guy's just a complete pest. And right now, Kentucky, who wants to push the tempo, it's hard to push tempo when you can't get a stop on the other end.
Quick feed inside and a nice look as Ansley Alomar finds his first bucket. Trent Noah on the floor for Kentucky for the first time.
And so, Tom, are we seeing a trend with Kentucky's defense? Because it was not great in that Gonzaga game. One of the reasons they went to some zone to try to get a stop. And right now, Colgate, out of the Patriot League, is getting bucket after bucket.
It's a game that Kentucky led 17-0. Colgate just kind of came out cold, sloppy, couldn't make one. Here's Noah. Brea has plenty of time to set that one on the tee.
They typically say don't shoot a bad pass. That's an exception for Brea when you got a stroke like that guy does.
4 for 4 from 3. He is 0 for 3 from 2. Paint touch, Sam Wright. Took a victory lap. How about this run for Colgate? Once again, a 1-possession game after being down 17. There've been a hodgepodge of lineups for the Cats tonight and unable to get into any rhythm after the good start. Sam Wright with his second.
They worked on that play time and time again and shoot around in practice yesterday. This dribble handoff with Williams and Brea. And if he comes off it hard, Brea, and draws 2 defenders, he knows to throw it up for that lob.
Cats in a bonus.
Checking in for Kentucky.
Got a big women's matchup for you tomorrow night on ESPN and the app. Paige Beckers and number 2 UConn take on Hannah Hidalgo in a top 10 matchup with 10th ranked Notre Dame. Great early season test for both. Our coverage begins at 7 Eastern.
How about that rivalry? I mean, they've met 54 times, 8 in the NCAA tournament, twice in the national championship game. Can't wait to tune in for that one.
Mari Williams, 64% on the season, has earned a bonus. Emma Maya has Amari Williams as the most efficient player in all of college basketball. A big part of that is his rebounding potential. He is 10th in the country in defensive rebounding percentage. And the transfer from Drexel has 7. Lead back to 5.
Well, we've complimented Mark Pope's halftime adjustment so far this season. I'm not sure we expected one to be necessary the way this game started, but right now Kentucky's got to sit down and guard because Coach Lango's got some good action that has them scrambling defensively.
Jones just left it short. Colgate fell behind early. They never panicked. They have made 7 threes and 6 twos. Little shake for Jones. Whoa! Rips it. Parker Jones with a flurry of a finish in Colgate. Down 17 at one point. Closes to 2.
this shot from Parker Jones. I mean, this guy calls his own number. No time left on the clock. Knows he's got to get it up over the contested hand of Carr. And butter, cash money. Colgate rolling.
Kyle Carlesimo got this whole thing started, and it's fitting in many ways that he was able to do that. The Woods family watching alongside, and it's fitting because PJ took so much money from Seth on the golf course. Now back to the studio. Dallin, what you got? All four sides of Triangle Park look great tonight. You're watching the SEC on ESPN from downtown Lexington, Kentucky at Rupp Arena. What a finish for Colgate. Tom Hart alongside Dane Bradshaw. This is a game that Kentucky had in its hands. Firm grip, 17-0 start. And then Colgate started hitting some shots.
Yeah, Colgate was getting run out of the gym. We've talked about Kentucky's resilience. How about the Raiders? I mean, these guys on the road could not have had a worse start, but then they make 8 of their next 9 threes, and they're sharing the basketball. They got a high assist rate. Over 70% of their makes are off assists. And right now, Kentucky's problem is on the defensive end. They are in scramble mode. They aren't guarding the ball. They aren't closing out quick enough to take away the three. And as a result, their offense got stagnant because they're taking the ball out of the net every single time.
It feels like a traditional letdown game, and I suppose that could be expected for the 5th-ranked team in the country that had a late night at Clemson in their lone loss, flew all the way out to Seattle, a double overtime win against Gonzaga, an overtime win against Gonzaga, and this game in between Gonzaga and Louisville.
Yeah, and I also think it goes back to new lineups. No excuse for Kentucky to give up that big of a lead. But once those subs came in, and guys that don't ordinarily play with one another due to the injuries to Carcresa and Lamont Butler, I think that caused a little bit of dysfunction with the lack of familiarity.
Well, the Cats are only +5 on the glass, and that is not as big a disparity as you would expect because Kentucky is an elite rebounding team, and Colgate has not shown its proficiency in that regard all season. They immediately go inside to Sam Wright, can't convert in front of the rim. Same starting 5 in the second half for Kentucky has started the game, including Kobe Brea, who made 4 starts last year at Dayton and making his first of the season tonight. Williams taking his time, goes to his right.
He's got to show that 33 for Colgate is sitting there on that left hand. That's just the 3rd time all season that Amari Williams has gone to that right hand, and the first one he's made. He's got to make that if he wants teams to respect him.
Oh, a stumble on his way in. It looked like an ankle. Brady Cummins, and they blow the whistle. And they got a foul on Kentucky. Thought it was just a stumble. Like, it looked like his foot gave out on him.
Yeah. I think they see the hand on the back is where they get Williams, but yeah, the off balance was more based on his footwork than it was the hand on the back.
So it's the first on Amari Williams. Colgate gets a baseline out of bounds bucket on the feed to the 6'6" Brady Cummins.
And that's just inexcusable. You got one guy not on the ball to keep that from happening, and they lose the guy on the other side as well.
Cats are just 4 of 16 from 3 tonight. It's in line with their recent average, 27% over the last 4.5 games.
We've seen they're going to keep firing away.
Whoa, and here we go. And Colgate, after being down 17-0, takes the lead.
They dare Jalen Cox, who came into this game 2 for 17 from 3. But Coach Langle has said he's a better shooter than the percentages show.
Williams going to his strong side and gets the layup with his left. And a chance for 3.
Good job there of feeling the defender out.
That was on right. That's his 3rd. That's his first.
He's going under that screen. That's what the scouting report says. Not a great 3-point shooter. Cox says, not tonight. We're on fire for the Colgate Raiders.
And so Williams to the free throw line. 4 years at Drexel, 3-time CAA Defensive Player of the Year. Just 64% from the line.
Are you kidding me, Tom? Colgate with an opportunity to take the lead. This game was a complete blowout to start.
And the reverse gives them their second lead of the night. Brady Cummins has a half dozen. It was more than a blowout. It was 17-0. Brea for 3. His first miss of the night. And Colgate playing with some confidence now, especially on this offensive end. They started the game 0 for 10. Now they've made 17 of 28 from the floor.
These back doors open up. When you make 9 out of your last 10 threes, the back door and mid-range start to open up as Kentucky is trying to take away anything at the three-point line.
3-point lead for Colgate. Colgate only has 2 wins all time against AP-ranked teams. Their first came in 1949 against Bob Cousy and Holy Cross. Their second came in 1952 against Penn State.
And they're mixing up these defenses. And even though Kentucky has a lot of shooters and they would traditionally love to see somebody play zone, I think it's just trying to keep Kentucky off balance. No different than what Kentucky did last game to Gonzaga.
Cats mix up the defense in the second half. Line lob and a finish from Williams.
You talk about knowing where your teammate's going to be. He didn't have to see him roll to the basket. He threw that thing up behind his head. Williams took the rest.
But Pereira's starting to come alive for the first time tonight. They had the switch. Louis Jacques gets tied up and denied by Robinson with 9 seconds on the shot clock.
Look at this. Lobs it over his head. The no-look lob dunk. Well, that's going to make split zone.
See what Colgate has drawn up. 8, 7, 6. Logo 3. Rebounded by Williams. Louis Jacques never attempted to get anywhere with the ball in his hands. Brea off the curl, nothing. And now here's Carr. Shared to Owe, pinned his man. Owe was short, and Carr finishes it off. Cats back in front. Colgate 4 for 6 from the floor in the second half. Reverse goes Brady Cummins. Fantastic second half so far. Now the Cats trying to run. 6th in the country in fast break points, and Robinson barely draws iron. Matt Langle, Colgate's head coach, is a creative offensive mind, and you've seen a lot of different elements of what the Raiders can do tonight. Nearly a walk from Cox. Now he fires it. Kentucky looking to reclaim the lead. Cox knocks it out of bounds. They are creative, including Brady Cummins.
Well, they've been red hot from 3, and that's opened things up on the inside and the back door. Here's Cummins, the junior from York, Maine. Says, you're going to run me off the three-point line? No problem. I'll go finish on the other side. Colgate has Kentucky a little tight right now.
Colgate has never beaten a top 5 team. They've got a 1-point lead on the Cats, who close as a 31.5-point favorite at ESPN Bet. This was supposed to be a cakewalk for Kentucky, but an 11-0 run in the first half for Colgate got them back in this game. And you mentioned during break, there's just a different feeling in this building relative to years past. Instead of doom and gloom, oh, Colgate went on an 11-0 run, we're toast, there's more positivity.
Yeah, as a player, I can remember the Kentucky fans, when they knew their team wasn't playing well and they needed a home court advantage and a boost and energy from the crowd, they would do that. And I hadn't seen that in recent years. And right now, I think a year ago, if they were in a close game against Colgate, I don't think the fans are trying to rally the team. Yeah. Right now, the positivity around this program and everybody being on the same page, you hear it right now.
Largest blown lead in the last 15 seasons for Kentucky was 21 in 2016 against Tennessee. So this would be their second largest if they can't pull this one out. A 3 from Robinson with some breathing room. Here's another. Back-to-back triples for Jackson Robinson. Cats have scored the last 6. Colgate trying to answer. Not there from Parker Jones. Feels like this is go time for the Cats. Trent Noah throws it in. First bucket of the game for Noah. 9-0 Kentucky run, all behind the arc. Carr with the reach in, knocked it away. Noah through traffic. And a near steal by Parker Jones. Kentucky's put the hammer down.
What I love is their short memory. I mean, they think the next one's going in. No matter how cold of a start they may have had from 3, they are thinking next shot, and they know they'll be taken out of the game if they turn down a good look. And that just permeates through every player on this roster, whether it's Robinson or Noah, like that last attempt.
They get going. They're faster than Miss Rip, leading the nation in scoring 6 in the country in fast break points. Carr, no.
Thought he got hit on the arm there for potential and one, but no call.
13-2 run for Kentucky. Baker behind the screen. Consistency has held Colgate back.
I think one thing you see from Kentucky just now is the spurt ability that this team has from beyond the arc.
Another. Owe getting in on it. 12-0 Kentucky run. Well, Trent Noah's plus-minus is going to look pretty good after this one. Carlesimo puts it on the floor. Fade away, tough shot. Started his career at Eastern Illinois. Made a couple of starts there for the Panthers.
I love the swagger that kid plays with and the confidence. I mean, he has come ready to play, not just because the shot's going in, but the energy and enthusiasm.
That 2-time Big East Coach of the Year, P.J. Carlesimo, led Seton Hall to the national championship game against Ramil Robinson of Michigan. Loose ball foul will go against Sam Wright, and that'll be the 4th personal on Wright. And that is a big loss for Colgate, playing without their senior, 6'11" Jeff Woodward. Wright picked up his 2nd with under a minute to go in the first half, and that proves to be costly. There's a pickup you were talking about.
Here's the credit I'll give them, though, Tom. The fans were up on their seat trying to rally this team before they made 4 threes in a row. And that's what they can do for this program, for the home court advantage they want.
Brandon Garrison's jump hook is off. He's carried out of bounds by Colgate, though. Cats have scored 12 of the last 14. They're heating up from deep. Otega Owe hits his first of the night. And Kentucky finding it shouldn't touch. Well, when Mark Pope took over, he wanted this to be a 3-point reliant team. The percentages haven't been there lately, but in the second half, Cats have knocked down 4 out of 9.
And we've seen it throughout this season. They're not going to stop shooting, and they're going to take their opportunities. And he has said from day one, he wants to get up 30 to 35 threes a game. They have not gotten over that 30 mark since the Bucknell game, the second game of the year back on November 9th. But right now, 8 of 24, and I'd be surprised if they don't manage to get up 32 or 33 threes by the time this game's over.
Middle of the pack in percentage from deep. If that goes up, then that top number could skyrocket. Always stepped through, nearly lost it. Trent Noah getting some extended run here in the second half. Garrison to Robinson to Olway. Good ball movement for this team. One of the best in the country in assists. A loose ball. Everybody on the floor for it, and it's a shot clock violation against the Cats. That is only the 3rd turnover of the game for Kentucky.
Outstanding hustle by both teams, but in particular, 0 in red. Now Scott getting to the floor, and even though he didn't get it, he forced a continuation of that loose ball and ultimately a shot clock violation.
What does Colgate need to do offensively?
They got to keep running their action here, and you have to run it with purpose and as quick as possible. Make Kentucky scramble, and certainly can't turn the ball over.
Garrison denied the entry pass. Robinson kicks to Brea. Pump fake on the corner 3. Again to Garrison, just kind of threw it up.
He's just not comfortable in the paint. I think he has to have more confidence once he gets in that paint and keep his eyes on the rim and try to be a scorer down there.
Kentucky led this game by 17. Colgate took its first lead of the game a minute into the second half. Matt Langle's Raiders shooting 50% from the floor in the second half. It's the same team that missed its first 10 field goal attempts. Mario Williams back on the floor, and it's the Almanor back on the floor for Kentucky.
Colgate just 1 of 5 now from 3 in the second half, and to get back in this thing, it's going to have to be from the three-point line. There's just no way Colgate can keep up with Kentucky from 2, but can they get the open looks is the question.
With the mismatch, a teardrop comes up short. Here's Noah. Brea hesitated, still got it. It's almost as if this gonna sound stupid, I know, that he's a better shooter with a hand in his head.
I think it's either or, but I mean, he has received some great contests, and it's like the man's not even there. All he sees is the rim. Interesting. Deb Moore, the great SID, told me that Brea learned how to shoot it high with that great arc. He would go to the park where the awful double rims are, where you can't get a bounce, and that's how he taught himself to hit no rim.
Shot clock is late. It's at 2. Ball fake and a 3. And an offensive rebound for Baker. Loose ball picked up by Trent Noah. Here's Robinson. Jackson Robinson running the point for Kentucky. For the injury to both Lamont Butler and Kirk Creason. We expect to have Butler back this weekend against Louisville.
How about Kirk Creason? As he injured that foot in his last game at half court, he could have gone down and held his foot. Did you see him sprint back, contest the 2 on basically a broken foot?
Williams denied at the rim. Cats have scored 15 of the last 17. Colgate still battling. It was a monster deficit for Colgate. They burned some sage. They got some good luck, good charm, got back into it. Large part to Carlesimo's shooting.
And Tom, the closeouts for Kentucky are sooner, quicker, and they are much more in the jerseys of Colgate as opposed to having a hand up yet being a step off.
In denial in the back cut by Julian Scott. Ure couldn't hit. Another loose ball belongs to the Raiders. It's a team that went 16-2 in the Patriot League last year. They've won 66 of their last 72 league games. They've dominated the Patriot League tournament. Carlesimo way downtown. And they're struggling through a 2-8 start. It's their worst start since 2016-17. They've given Kentucky all the Cats want tonight.
And it does. You mentioned their success and continuing to reach the postseason. It feels like a 14-3, 15-2 type game right now where the favorite gets a little bit of a stare.
Kobe Brea all the way to the rim. You said he needs to look at the rim on the drives. He was staring that one down. And Matt Langle needs a timeout. Kentucky on a 17-2 run, and the 5th-ranked team in the country taking control here in the second half.
I love competing against them.
Twice they met for a national title. Now it's a top 10 showdown coming your way. Tomorrow, 7 Eastern, ESPN, UConn, and Notre Dame. Paige Becker's 6th in the country in assisted turnover ratio. Oh, by the way, she's got her own shoe.
Well, she's going to need more than just her own shoe to stop the Fighting Irish. That's going to be a heck of a matchup. And remember, a year ago, Notre Dame went on the road at UConn, went by 15. So see if the Huskies can't return the favor.
Colgate took a 45-42 lead in this game. Since then, the Raiders have been just 2 for 12 from the floor.
And I think it goes out to these aggressive closeouts. They're switching with greater purpose as Kentucky. I mean, look how far they are. They're up past that three-point line. They're not just standing there with a hand up.
Here's Jalen Cox. Nope, and if they can't shoot any better, they're just going to have to close down the big boys. It ain't going to work. What a wildly inconsistent shooting night for Colgate. I mean, the start that they had to dig themselves out of a 17-0 hole. They got hot, and then just like that, it went away again.
Well, I think a lot of that, too, in the first half. Colgate had Kentucky on the run. Kentucky was missing shots. Colgate able to get out and transition even in their half-court sets. It was Kentucky on their heels. And so, once again, even though an inferior opponent, but Mark Pope and this Kentucky team make a half-time adjustment that certainly shows itself well here in the second half.
Remember, their big Sam Wright has been on the bench with his 4th personal foul. 15-footer good for Louis Jacques. Miami native. Was injured for the last quarter last season for Colgate. He started the first 20 games of the year. Lob inside, Amari Williams, high percentage. Look, he's got 15.
Great find, great catch.
Cats on a 21-4 run. Does Colgate have any gas left in the tank?
Well, this is a guy here, 25, that can really pick and pop, that you want to try to spray it out for a 3 if you can.
Coming short on that one. Here's Perry. Oweh reverses it in. Beautiful move. He's getting double figures now.
As good of a three-point shooting team as Kentucky is, I love his aggressiveness. When he puts the ball on the deck, he is looking to get all the way to the rim.
Perry wrapped up Louis Jacques. Kentucky 69-51 over Colgate. Final 5 minutes from Rupp coming your way after this. College football playoff is set. Georgia will be playing in the Sugar Bowl against the winner of Indiana and Notre Dame. Friday night game on December 20th in South Bend. That'll be fun. I hope it snows. I hope it dumps snow in both Happy Valley and at Notre Dame. I hope the weather is beautiful, but also white.
Imitation, the most sincere form of flattery. Thank you, football, for stealing a page out of basketball's playbook. I say expand that to 68.
Well, there's now talk, and the rumors just today that NCAA will expand the men's basketball tournament. I think it's perfect the way it is. I don't know why you would mess with perfection.
Yeah, but on that note, though, and while I do tend to agree, we saw with the nation's #1 recruit today going to BYU how the parity in college basketball is going to continue to change, and how the NIL landscape is allowing teams outside the Blue Bloods to create a roster and invest in a roster that otherwise couldn't have. And so you got to think it's going to continue to bleed over into more teams being more competitive.
We talked to Mark Pope about that. BYU with some very wealthy benefactors trying to build that up. Here's a steal by Jalen Cox, and he lost it on the foul by Brandon Garrison. And I wasn't quite sure what Mark Pope would think about it. He said, I love it for the kids. A.J. DeBounson, the #1 overall recruit in next year's class, the first #1 overall player to commit to BYU, the second ever top 10 ESPN recruit from Utah. He's actually from the East Coast, but he's playing a year in high school in Utah. Sean Bradley is the highest drafted player in BYU history. He went second for the Sixers in '93. There is obviously inconsistency when it comes to recruiting. Isaiah Collier was a top recruit last year. Derek Lively before that. Chet Holmgren the year before that. But the amount of money that is reportedly being spent, the NIL deal reported at $5 million plus more ancillary income from a couple of major sponsorship deals. I've been talking to a lot of general managers the last couple of weeks of these college basketball programs, and the word I got was, you know what? The teams that are really committed will be spending between $6 and $8 million. That's for the entire team. And this recruit reportedly getting 5+. Finished by Parker Jones.
And while you tend to think that favors the bigger programs that have more alumni, more donors, it's certainly not exclusive to them. I mean, you get the right donor in the right school and the group of donors, then you can field a heck of a roster with that sort of budget. It's a different day and age, but I'll tell you what, it's and we talked a lot too about the difference. Everybody's learning in the contracts, because when coaches leave, when people make that comparison, well, a coach left for this school, why can't a player leave? True, but there's typically a buyout involved. And some schools will have buyouts for these players. But then another school might say, no, we're going to have you come here and we won't have a buyout for you. And that gives us the edge on that school. And so all types of details to work out in this one.
Robinson with the steal and one hand. 71-55, Cats in control. They've once again, Colgate in the spin cycle, only 2 for their last 11. Here's Cox for 3. Colgate was red hot, then they dumped their sage in a puddle of water. Can't burn wet sage. Off the mark, and Carr kept it alive for Ortega Owe. Another easy bucket. This one belongs to Brandon Garrison.
I love the way he runs the floor. He comes in, he impacts the game. And when you come off the bench, your goal is to make the team as good or better when you're on the court. You don't want to see a setback. And he's done it in big games. He was a +7 last game when he was on the court in that big one against Gonzaga. And I just think he's a big-time X-Factor energy guy.
High kiss off the glass for Brady Cummins. He's in double figures. Got 19 in the Patriot League Championship game last year, leading Colgate back to the NCAA tournament. They played in the last 5. Push ahead. Louis Jacques, yes.
Basket by Louis Jacques.
Kentucky 5 of 12 from 3 in the second half. Here's Robinson. Nope. Followed his own miss. Hey, shout out to our buddy Oscar Combs, Kentucky Sports Hall of Famer and the Kentucky Journalism Hall of Fame. He's on the mend right now, I'm sure watching tonight. So if you know him, shoot him a text, give him a call, or just blow him up on social media. I'm sure he'll appreciate it. Oscar, hope you get well. And very soon to get back on your feet. Here's Kobe Bryant.
These players are a little bit gassed. They hadn't had a break in the action here in a bit.
Yeah, we were supposed to have one nearly 3 minutes ago. And there it is. That'll take us to a break. And how about you, Mr. Robinson? Preseason third-team All-SEC. Jackson Robinson playing a new position tonight. Looks like the same old Jackson Robinson.
Yeah, making plays. He's going to finish this one with authority. Gets up and away, and he's ready to go to the bench and say, Lamont Butler, come on back. I'm tired of running point guard, man.
Couple of big ones coming your way this Saturday. Number 10, Kansas, fell all the way from number 1 after back-to-back losses as the number 1 ranked team in the country. They get Kevin Keatts' NC State team coming to town fresh off of a Final Four run. Fog Allen Fieldhouse and in Kentucky and Louisville. 5:15 Eastern Saturday on ESPN. Safe to say if Kentucky goes through a spurt like they did late second half, they're going to have their hands full against a Louisville team that's been really banged up over the course of this season.
Yeah, they sure have. Pat Kelsey, such a winner, and what he inherited, what he's been able to put together to get a competitive group out there. But the injury bug, but this will be a competitive game for sure. The thing that I've seen is you can hold Kentucky cold for a little while, but man, once they get it going, all of a sudden you look up and a 9-0, 12-0 run gets put on you. So Louisville's going to have to defend that three-point line. But again, Kentucky's showing their versatility that they can beat you on the inside with Carr as well with certain matchups.
90 seconds to go in this one. Lead is 12. Away! He's got a dozen. If the Cats can make this a 15-point win, and less likely after Parker Jones fills in his 4th 3 of the night, they've won each of their first 6 home games by 15 or more. They can make it 7. It'll be just the second time over the last quarter century that they've done that. They also did it to start the 2010-2011 season. Here's Owe in the corner. A dunk to the 3.
That's the 31st three-point attempt, the most they've had since the second game of the year. So it hadn't been pretty tonight, but it does show you their commitment to letting it fly beyond the arc.
And Sam Wright says, I can let it fly.
Andrew Carr has a big-time wingspan, but guys are shooting over the top of it. I think he might maybe come out there with 2 hands high or just a little bit more aggressive, make them put it on the deck.
It's interesting talking with Matt Langel about this version of his Colgate team. The feeling is, even though they've dominated the Patriot League, some of those other teams, American, Bucknell, have closed the gap a little bit given Colgate's personnel situation right now. But the bottom line, you mentioned that that's a 1-bid lead. Yeah, they've gotten a 14 seed in years past in the NCAA tournament. But for Colgate, it's all about playing well in their league, getting a good seed and a chance to host and win the tournament. Yeah,
so while they'll drop to 2-9, they've had some injuries, but they've intentionally scheduled tough, and you're correct to have opportunities like this, learn a lot about your team, and I think they're going to come away saying, boys, we got off to a really cold start, but you showed some fight, and on the national stage showed what this Colgate program's all about.
Shot clock at 7. Owe try to jam it again. 10 seconds to play. Colgate will drop to 2-9. Number 5, Kentucky will improve to 9-1. Only loss of the season came on the road at Clemson. One as easy as it may have been suggested to Mark Pope. This was a battle for his Kentucky team tonight. It was interesting talking with people around the program, former players, who said the biggest difference with Mark Pope's teams, he lets them in practice work through their mistakes instead of ending it and pointing it out it was a mistake. It was, you've got to learn to adjust in the face of adversity. They did that after Colgate took the lead a minute into the second half tonight.
Good teams find a way to win even when it's not your best night, you're shorthanded, and Kentucky got a little bit of a scare, but they didn't flinch. It shows why they have such experience and veterans. Even if it hadn't always been at Lexington, it has shown throughout this season.
Well, we're going to get you to Sports Center. Christina Alexander still celebrating her alma mater's win against number 1. That's Missouri. David Lloyd standing by. For Dane Bradshaw, I'm Tom Hart. See you later. Enjoy Sports Center, everybody.
Hey, thanks, guys. Yeah, we just